What's going on, guys? It's your boy Matei here, and I'm excited to get into this particular lesson on how to create and build your brand 101. Follow me on social media, like, comment, and share this video. All the links are in the description as always. Also, make sure you check out the full track whose instrumental you're currently hearing in the background. It's available on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, pretty much every streaming or digital music store or platform that you subscribe to. So let's get started. There are many ways of successfully creating a strong brand in the music industry. Through mine and my business partners' experience of managing and developing artists, DJs, producers, there are many things we have tried and learned from when it comes to branding. We had the luxury of going through a lot of experimentation to see what works and why and what doesn't work. And the music industry is not the only industry where I have been able to implement many successful branding strategies. I have worked on branding strategies in all the businesses that I have owned throughout the years or been a part of, which include car detailing, the restaurant business, real estate, software development, app development, online educational platforms, energy efficiency services, guerrilla marketing services, and e-commerce. And guess what? They all have many things in common, which proves that if you put some strategic thought behind your branding, using proven concepts, you will be successful and you will take your career to the next level. And even better for you, I will cover the mistakes me and my team made along the way so you won't have to. And you will save a lot of money, time, and energy creating a strong brand. And let's face a very real truth about the music industry in the 21st century that many artists have had a hard time accepting or just don't like to admit, which is that nowadays a strong brand matters more than the actual talent, especially when it comes to your ability to make money as an artist. Artists like Kylie Jenner or Willow Smith, for example, have probably sold more music and definitely made more money as new artists on the scene as someone like Gallant, a very talented R&B singer who was recently nominated for a Grammy. Many of you probably haven't heard of Gallant, so please go and Google him and check his music out. And yes, Willow Smith and Kylie Jenner are, very well known and have strong brands because of their parents, but it does not matter how the brand was built. It still proves the point that the strength of the brand supersedes the talent or the artist's ability to make good music. We also see a select few innovative A&Rs and artist managers in the industry today creating strong artist brands without releasing any type of music at all. And then, only once the brand is at a point where a relatively big following has been created, only then they release the music to be consumed by their fans. Today, we live in an attention-seeking economy. Look that term up on Google, attention economy, where very often the music that is released acts more so as a marketing tool to keep the artist in the forefront of the conversation as much as possible, or is used as a tool that draws their brand as much attention as possible so they can be successful. The more attention they can grab, the more successful they will be when it comes to making money. Labels can then generate money through their bigger revenue streams like live performances, endorsements, sponsorships, and the sale of artist branded merchandise. This is the same for independent labels and artists as well. That way, the labels don't have to depend on the ever-falling music sales to generate revenue, and this way it's also not as risky to sign new talent. If you want to understand why this is so, check out my free video on the evolution and breakdown of the music industry, which is also available on my YouTube channel. So if the only thing you can do is creating good music, but don't know how to create a strong brand behind that music, you're going to be in trouble. But lucky for you, we also live in a time and age where we also have so many free or low-cost resources available to us that if you're smart and utilize these resources strategically and implement proven branding strategies, you have the ability to create strong brands that will take your music careers to the next level. And my lessons are part of these resources that are available to you, so listen up. So in this lesson, we're going to break down all these different strategies to put you and your team on the right path to success. As I discussed in my free Business 101 Concepts video lesson, also available on my YouTube channel, I talked about something called a feasibility study. A feasibility study is an important step or important research you should undertake to discover what your competition is doing and how successful artist brands thrive in today's music business. Nearly every business in any industry does this type of research, especially to determine what they need to do to compete in their industry and how to differentiate themselves from the competition out there so they can be successful. And not only how to differentiate themselves, but also to find out what they can do similarly or what they can emulate from other successful brands that can accelerate their own growth. Because if someone or a company is doing something well that you can clearly identify as a proven method and it works, and you could do it as well or in a similar fashion, why not do it? Especially as you're getting started. This way you won't have to waste money and do a bunch of trial and error activities or strategies that may be very risky for you to undertake. If you're a startup company in Silicon Valley, for example, and you want to raise money to get your product in front of your customers, you and your team will have to do a thorough, detailed, sometimes up to 50 pages long feasibility study with a complete analysis of the market you're trying to penetrate, analysis on your competition, and a detailed projections for growth. All this has to be done before you even set up a meeting with any venture capital investor or even an angel investor. And if you approach the investor without this, they would just pretty much laugh at you. And not just as a startup, but even for multi-million-dollar companies, if they want to expand into a new market or want to introduce a new product, they will also have to undertake a detailed feasibility study. So as an artist, DJ, or a producer, you should do the same. I'm not saying you have to spend weeks or months on this research and create a 50-page feasibility study, even though if you did, it would only be to your benefit. But let's be realistic and discuss what a reasonable feasibility study for you should include and how to approach it. That way, based on that research and knowledge, you can create the best brand possible designed for accelerated success out of the gate. And for existing brands, with this new knowledge, you can tweak what you already have to increase your chances of success and get your brand to the next level. Clearly, there are many, many different brands out there, different genres of music and different niches you can go after. So there are many different ways to create these brands. Some are very expensive out the gate, some are very cheap and grassroots based, some are overly fabricated for extra entertainment value purposes, and some are just simply making the real you as a person into a brand and a product in this music industry. After we have a better idea of what our brand should look like and who we are targeting in terms of which particular fans and consumers we want to go after, we're also going to discuss general strategies and areas of focus for getting your brand out there in the most efficient and result-oriented fashion possible, and also how to continue growing your brand in a result-oriented manner. Result-oriented is the key word here, and one of the key factors to your success. If there's no intentional reason behind why you are doing certain things, don't expect a great result or any type of advancements in your career. Of course, one strategy that you can always do is throw shit up on the internet and see what sticks. But come on, why would you want to be that sloppy and do that? Spend your time wisely and don't turn your career into an expensive 5 to 10 year experiment to see what works and what doesn't. You can do intentional or design experiments that you can track and collect data on, which is a much smarter strategy, and you can have a successful career in like 2 to 3 years of doing so. I will cover many different options for experimenting with different branding strategies. So whether you're just starting out and have a limited or no budget at all, or if you have an investor lined up with a big budget to take you to the next level, you will find a strategy that should fit your situation, or at least learn something new that will increase your chances of success in today's music and entertainment marketplace. I say today's music industry or marketplace because you need to know what works now and not what worked 5 or 10 years ago. Things are changing very fast, and if you can't adapt and be innovative, you're going to have a hard and difficult time trying to succeed, period. Because remember, there are levels to this music game, and at every level you should utilize different resources and use tailored branding and marketing strategies for that level. If you're just starting out, for example, you don't only want to be looking at what branding and marketing strategies Beyonce and her team are using. You know what I mean? You're not on that level yet. You have to do what works for the level where your brand currently exists in, and at the same time look at brands that are at the level right above you or at the next level above you, so you can figure out and reverse engineer the steps on how to get to that next level first before you have the resources and brand recognition to one day compete with Beyonce's brand. You can't just expect to go from level 3 to level 15 right away. This is not a video game, and there's no cheat code to do it. So for that reason, in this lesson on branding, we're going to take a look at what you need to look into and think about as far as your brand and the perception of your brand goes in order to increase your chances of getting to the next level faster. It's going to be important to look at who your competition is and how to identify that correctly. I'm going to talk about many different resources and tools you can use to identify your competition and how to make sense of all that data and all that analysis. So please, when starting out, don't just say that you're going to be an R&B singer, so Beyonce is not your competition. That's like saying I want to open my own restaurant one day, but you only have the money and resources to start out with a food truck first. And while you're operating the food truck, you're trying to analyze the branding and marketing strategies that TGI Fridays or Red Lobster uses. You're not on their level. If you try to copy or emulate just one of their branding or marketing strategies while operating a food truck, you will go out of business before you got started, because you would spend so much money and resources out the gate that you would never recover or have the money to actually run your business. So since you're starting out with a food truck first, with the intention to have a restaurant one day, you should be looking at models that help startup food businesses or food trucks scale their business and get them on the way to expand strategically, so one day they will have the money and resources for a restaurant. It is much wiser and a business savvy decision to make. I hope this makes sense, but in this lesson, I will translate this concept for your purpose and go into details on how to apply this concept into the music industry. And if you take all my lessons, you will definitely learn how to be business savvy. So after figuring out who our competition is, we will also want to take a look at what geographical areas make the most sense for you to focus on when it comes to branding and creating a buzz in that particular location. We're going to look at why some locations are better for breaking artists than others, and we're also going to discuss your local market and location and talk about what you can do to create a buzz wherever you're at, but also what not to waste money on. That way you save your money and spend it on strategies that make way more sense and have a way better return on your investment. And we're going to talk about how to evaluate these different opportunities so you don't get scammed. We also are going to break down how you can identify whether a certain niche of music exists that would make more sense for you to go after, because nowadays it seems like everybody would just love to go after and chase the super saturated genres like pop, but it's super competitive. Many successful pop artists and megastars of today started in smaller niches as writers, producers, or even artists, and as their brand grew, they were able to make strategic partnerships and break through into the pop industry, so why not follow some of those examples? Next, we're going to look at and figure out who our fan is and their demographic. Demographic meaning their age, where they live at, and so on. We're going to go a little bit deeper into trying to identify other behaviors that they display online and social media and how they interact with your competition online. Because if you can figure this out, later in my other lessons where I break down the detailed steps on how to market your single release properly or marketing your full album release, for example, you will now know how to design your marketing and branding strategies correctly, because you know how your fan behaves, who they are, and how they can relate to your music and you as a person or a brand. After we understand our competition and who our customer or fan is or should be, you will be in a better position to be more strategic about designing your brand or product in the way where your fan perceives it in such a way where they become your biggest supporter and will be compelled to spend money on you, your content, and your products. And not only your fans, but businesses as well, because in today's music industry, we want to make sure your brand is well perceived by other businesses that may want to endorse you or sponsor you. So you want to make sure you make them feel like they're making a safe investment in you and your team. The goal is to grab the attention of your target market audience, both regular consumers and businesses. So when it comes to branding your physical products and also you as a person with your real personality, we're going to discuss how to approach that correctly so they blend well together. Or even if you want to go after a fabricated or like an alter ego personality brand like Daft Punk or DJ Marshmello, let's say, we're going to discuss these particular examples, their advantages and disadvantages. This aspect of branding can be very difficult sometimes for many artists to understand, the fact that their personality or how they act or portray themselves is also considered a product, especially to the labels or your future investors, sponsors, or any type of endorsers. But it goes the same for your fan, especially when you break down their psychology on a subconscious level. You're very much so considered a product to them as well. Many experts in marketing psychology have proven this to be true, that on a subconscious level, the behaviors that a fan or a consumer displays towards, let's say, a brand like the Jordan sneaker is very much similar to their favorite artists or celebrities. This is going to be very important for you as the artist to grasp, because many times the artist doesn't understand how to separate the emotion behind their music and the music business world itself, and this can be very detrimental to their success. This is the music industry, the music business being one of the key words here. So act like you mean business, and don't be immature or be too romantic about your craft, because you will be left in the dust by your competition. This music market is going to continuously evolve and change, and it doesn't care about your feelings. As one of my favorite entrepreneurs, Gary Vee, likes to say. What's up, Gary? Anyways, the basic human psychology tells us that the fan or the consumer doesn't really care about what you feel is fair or unfair or how you perceive your own self-worth. At the end of the day, they really only care about what they care about. But if you show them that you relate to all the same things that they do or care about, and that they happen to notice that, that's when the worth of value of your brand increases in their eyes. They will pay you more attention and be more willing to interact with you, and you will for sure gain a new fan that will have a higher probability of spending money with you. We're going to get into all of this a little bit more deeper in this lesson. For individuals like sound and recording engineers, union musicians, or TV music producers behind the scenes that provide a service more so than a product, we're also going to touch on some of these strategies as well because they're slightly different. Finally, we're going to break down some general strategies you should use for making your brand well known and talked about constantly, how to get your brand in front of the masses, and how to create a buzz behind your brand wherever you are in whatever genre of music or niche you're going after. Who to contact, who to network with, what to spend money on and what not to spend money on, and most importantly, how to identify all these different worthy opportunities and also the scammers out there that just want to sell you services that don't really work and want to milk you for your hard-earned cash. This lesson is also a prerequisite for the other two titles that I have on branding, so make sure you watch this first. The other ones are on specific branding strategies for the digital world, or how to build a strong digital brand, and the other is on specific physical or non-digital boots on the ground type strategies and how to brand yourself physically in your local area. Proven physical strategies never go out of style and are very important for your brand. So click on the link in the description box below to get started with this full lesson. Take notes, and I would advise that you take this course seriously. Also remember to follow me on social media to stay up to date with all the latest lessons I release. We have a lot of exciting things happening in the next few months as well outside of these lessons, so make sure you stay up to date with what we do. So enjoy, get your learn on. Again, remember to check out the full track you've been hearing in the background, and I will see you in the next lesson. Peace.
Dude that you barely knew. Don't make an excuse, say YOLO, I'm grown. Baby, stick to the rules, cause this ain't the first time, it being the last time is all up to you. So don't be acting different, who you think you kidding? We already did it. And I know your mind's on one thing, but we'll get to that once we finish.